2018. No doubt we'll hear some of your thoughts later on. We're rolling out with the tanks. Again, for this French side, wasn't really something they were too accustomed to when they came into the start of this World Cup. All the OWL players said we've had to learn this from the guys like Ben Best, Wins, and Nico, who are also on our roster. And let's not forget, Nico being on Eagle Gaming, a very tank-heavy team. They've had to learn a lot in a short space of time.
UK and France out of the spawn gates, ready to get it on, and France taking an interesting position. They want that high ground against the UK, and looks like they're changing up what they had planned to deal with this. A couple of them heading back to the spawn room.
It's always a big risk here because you potentially sacrifice the initial point contest that you want, and you want to hold that point because you can play around the environmentals. Those two big walls on the left-hand side is a big one, but back they come in now as well. They've dominated Zen to try and break through this Moira-based Goats comp that France have got.
Mike Ye already taken out by Soon. That's going to be huge for France in making sure they get this first cap secured, and they want to take it to the UK now, get everything they can, squeeze them for all the ult charge they can get, and push back extra ult charge and charge on the points.
First blood being built by France does mean they get control of this point, that healthy percentage ticking up to 15% already. UK got to come back strong with this one as well. Kib already getting to near that grab surge, but on the other side, France have got two ultimates online, Coalescence being one of them. Boombox the bad to get that trance.
Pogo sends it into the wall, the rest of France move on to Christopher. He's not managed to go down yet. The charge will be enough, as well as the lockup from Soon. Christopher has been knocked down, and so have the UK, and France are pushing them back into their spawn.
Maybe Overwatch League players, maybe they don't play Goats, but it doesn't matter when they come up against a team that was forged in the fires of Goats Comp. France, Soon in particular, getting the only 2 kills of this round so far onto crucial members in both instances. UK struggling to find a foothold right now, France looking like the most dominant of the 2 teams.
It's the only 2 kills that have been needed so far. Coalescence sweeping through. Ben Best has that shatter. He has to win the mind game against Christopher. He's going down, but he hasn't been able to get everyone. Just a few members with the sound barrier. Going to cancel out everything. He's charged up against the wall. Going to be staying alive. Graviton surge from United Kingdom. Answered by France. They're swinging at each other at point blank range. The self-destruct is there. The shield is there in time. The UK have the kills to push this back against the French roster and flip the points.
Coming back with a vengeance, bringing down the 2 tanks. Normally it's the 2 supports you're aiming for, but you'll take the front line any day of the week against this French side, and they managed to recap the point at around about the 75% mark. This is still a very tall mountain for the UK to climb.
Still leaves them a window of opportunity, though. They can lose the fight, still come back and reclaim it without it being instantly over for them. So still got breathing space for the UK. We'll see how much progress they can get before the French really challenge them.
The only ult the French are looking at having on side here is Ben Best with that Earth Shatter. That's also available on the other side, as well as the other 2 tank ultimates with the Zarya ult about to come online. This next fight should go the UK's way as long as they get this right. They've already caught Ben.
Ben Best missed out with the shatter. He's locked up, so the self-destruct will take him out. Mike Ye's gone down to Poco, so they're missing 1 for 1, but the Reinhardt seems to be more impactful as France are in full retreat. Shatter from Christopher, not going to land. Soon turns it around onto him, but Boombox takes out his Roboto brother by shooting out Unco. Retreating back on the point, Soon moving forward. This could be a lost fight for the UK. Going to use the Transcendence to keep some alive, but the D-Mech has already come into play. He's buying as much time as possible. The grab will last longer than what that Transcendence will do. And Poco and Wins are going to clean up the UK. Christopher and Mike Ye buying as much time as they can, but they're going to have to run into this one, forcing out the climax of this game.
Soon is playing absolutely on fire this round, and not just because he's an Overwatch League player. Even when his team are in retreat, when they're losing fights, he's still securing kills to his team and making sure the UK walk away wounded. That is so crucial because it led to that spawn stagger that you saw a second ago. They came back in, they took the point. They are firmly in control, and there's only 5% left.
Boombox and Christopher have been taken out, 5% remaining. The sound barriers are scoring them onto the point to keep them away. UK are going to put a valiant effort in. They have a self-destruct, but they also have themselves that Graviton surge to pull them together. People are trying to get onto the point. Transcendence used from the side of France. They're taking out UK. They're going to take this first round, and we're moving on to the second one shortly after this.
Stellar first round by France. The UK giving it as good as they're getting as well, taking a few fights back, but 100 to 54% tells the story of the French dominance, especially once again looking towards Soon, getting those key stuns in, bringing down key members like Christopher in that front line. As we said several times throughout the weekend, it all comes down to when that main tank falls down. The front line isn't there, the shields cannot protect the back line, and the enemy team can storm their way in. We're now heading into Gardens, again, quite an historic map when you think of it. It used to be a lot of Pharah-based play. Sometimes we'll see Doomfist and Sombra there too. Lately, a lot of teams have been running just 3-3 into it once again. City Centre being really the only map where you see too much variety.
Looking like we're going to see a lot of Ghosts this game, Des. We're not wanting to mix it up too much. That's fine. Play what you're comfortable with. It's ultimately the composition of the group stage.
The problem with this map is that, well, not with map, with control in general, is that you're constantly fighting over a fixed point. So one strategy may work once, but it's not going to work consistently. So you play what you feel is your best and save the smarter strategy, shall we say, for the later maps. That's why control is often not really the greatest indicator of how a series will go, but France will take this in their stride, no doubt. It's been a very confident round so far.
Nice bubble there to protect Christopher. They went for the attack. Best going down very low. He's going to be taken out by Christopher. They're going to trade Reinhardt. This opens it wide up for someone to claim. And the French are trying to dig that flag into the ground faster than the UK can manage to do so. But with positional advantage in favor of the Brits, they're making it a lot easier for them to go in. High energy charge on Kip. Close to that first graviton surge. He can get it out in time. But no, he accidentally kills himself before he can pull the trigger. The French must be taking this point first.
Well, Reddit can say what they want about wins, but he managed to get the sound barrier online first. They're way ahead of Cruz, and that extra shielding won them the fight. Bembes comes back, gets the 2 kills down onto the tanks, and another fantastic opening fight coming out of France. The UK just about 5 seconds behind when it came to getting those crucial support ults up, which meant ultimately they lost that fight.
I believe they have a slight ult advantage going into the retake against France. They can do it a lot earlier than they did last time. Might open up round number 2 and equalize Oasis for them.
That's what we're looking towards now. The UK got a couple of ultimates online to play with. Equally the same goes for France, but they are the ones in possession of the point. Soon gets picked up, but that's very uncharacteristic.
Sick to the beat, and the beat gets sicker. Boombox is going to take him out, and has also got themselves the sound barrier. Best going to use that Earth Shadow to try and lock up the play, but they're struggling to get through this choke. They're stunned up members on the point from France as the UK are pushing through onto them now. Looking to find Best out, but Poco's going to take out Christopher. Kip going to do the exact same, but on the other side, the fight is still wide open, 50% open. Kip again onto Poco. Rally being popped by Soon. He's trying to give everyone that extra armor. Stunned up, self-destruct being popped by Nico after he got the D-Mech. No, it's Smex who gets the self-destruct up onto Soon. This is going to be the UK taking a retake.
Wins managed to stall it out for a bit longer. They hit just about that 60% mark, and again, it just shows that even when Team France is being pushed back, they are still trading kills. They're literally trading main tanks and supports. The only thing that really went wrong for them at the start of that fight was Soon peeking without his right click held down. All it took was a quick spray coming through from Boombox, and he dropped his Overwatch League counterpart.
Wins, giving himself that sound barrier. There's also a lot of ults on France. UK can't quite answer for ultimate just yet. Looking for the right time, going to put it against the pillar, pull the UK together, and France filters in. They fire out their own graviton surge a little bit later, but they've already lost the fight. France are going to retake this point because the UK just have not got the men to keep it up.
Yeah, Unco maybe could have saved his Transcendence at the very end of that fight. No one was really in any big threat, but I think it was more as a safety measure because they want this point back from the UK. They may have given them a good 40-45%, but they will still take control once again at 60, and the UK are the ones now left looking for answers.
Nice little bit of tactical crouching there. Poco obviously taking out Boombox, his Philadelphia Fusion teammate. I imagine the result of this match will linger in the Philadelphia Fusion house for a very long time.
Be the kind of thing they take back with them to the Overwatch League, no doubt. But now the French trying to hold it completely off the point. Out comes the rally from Mikey A, trying to get his team stocked up as they go for the push in towards them. Christopher going very low, but that bursting from Vegeta, more than to keep alive. Shadow comes through, just not connects.
Beautiful play for the UK to fight against that, but they're going to have to fire one over their own. Christopher getting close to that 100%. The Graviton Surge takes them off the ground, but they're still holding out. Mikey A going to stay alive. The Transcendence being used by Boombox keeps them steady throughout it. Kip stunned up. He has the Graviton Surge. Hasn't broken the shield, so will have his armor available for him. Where's the rest of Team UK? Kip's by himself dealing with this as the self-destruct comes in. We'll find Onko, but it's 2-for-1 trade in favor of the UK. They just need to clear these bodies off the points. Now it's at 99%, and we're heading into overtime. One mistake could cost them the round and cost them the map.
Still trying to hold themselves in that pin to the pillar with the Graviton Surge. Didn't really play in their favor at first, but it kept a couple of crucial members out of the front line of France, and they managed to pull it back. Bit of a scatter kind of end ult here as well. They're still going to kill Boombox with the kills onto both the mech and the Baby D.
No, he's been knocked off the side of the map. Bembes comes up huge for France. Kip, the saving grace for UK. He's not going to be able to stay there long enough. France is going to take the first map 2-0.
And if you wanted a player to say, now is the time to show you belong amongst these Overwatch League players, Bembes stepped forward to take a bow, son. 3-4 kills in that final fight, literally turning a lost fight on its head and securing the key kills to win that first map 2-0. If you wanted to make a strong opening statement and say, we are here to take this series 4-0, well, what better way to do it than taking the first control map 2-0?
2-0 obviously opens it up to France, giving them the one series advantage. advantage, or the one map series advantage. Of course, going to go over to map number 2 very shortly. That will be the UK's pick, so if they ever wanted to feel comfortable or anything, now's the time to bring it back, tie up the series before we go into the halftime.
This plays into a story that we had on day 2 where we saw a couple of teams bouncing between win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. And it was always when the team, I think it was Poland in particular, when they were forced, or not really forced, but given the opportunity to pick their own map, they had strategies they rolled out which actually gave them a huge advantage over the other side. This second map, if it goes the way of UK, suggests that we might see the same thing happening with the third and fourth maps. If France take the second map, suddenly it's a very worrying time to be a UK fan.
Absolutely, but miracles can happen. Reverse sweeps can happen. We've seen it before. It's always open until that third map is secured. We're not going to know about that one for a while as we're getting ready to jump into our second map. UK, solid moments of play, able to take it back. It's not completely one-sided for the French, but they are being more consistent than our British friends. Blizzard World, of course, going to be our second map. UK's choice, it's hybrid. And we've seen the Netherlands have an affinity for this map. I wonder if the UK can do exactly the same.
Like I say, it might all just come down to having some plans. We've seen the UK show a bit of a different change earlier on today, bringing out the triple tank with Wrecking Ball in the mix, rather than going for the more conventional GOATS-based triple tank that we are used to seeing. And I mentioned it earlier on as well, with Soon, he was the big MVP for me in that last map. Lots of crucial stuns and kills being secured for his team to make sure that ultimately they were the ones walking away the victor in the majority of those fights. As for the UK, we said in the Italy series, it looked pretty clean, they got the win, but there were a few chinks in the armor they needed to work out, a few scuffs that needed polishing. We need to see a bit more of that in this series so far. A few things like that whiffed ultimate that we saw only catch out 1 or 2 people. That's the kind of thing they need to clean up if they want to be able to bring down France here on Blizzard World.
Well, France gets to be the home team, so they're going to be defending up first against the UK's offense. Poco, I'd really like to see him stick with this Wrecking Ball. Could do a lot of damage against some aggressive people, but no, he's going to jump off the edge of the map, go back to his classic Zarya. And I wonder if the UK will match them or go with Christopher on this Wrecking Ball. That'll be a suck.
Him having a bit of a hang around his spawn. I imagine here he does change over to play Ryan, because otherwise you don't really have a main tank fitting into this 3-3 based roster. And the problem is you're playing with Zarya and D.Va. This needs to be a very close together based composition. Wrecking Ball, as we all know and all have seen from our games, likes to charge in and go and do his own thing and cause chaos generally amongst the enemy team. So I expect him to switch over before they go rolling out of the gate.
France are doing the GOATS composition, but they're taking Netherlands' position. We've seen him use the Paris group stage, very forward, hiding by these signs, soon waiting there with the shield bash to catch someone off guard. They're moving forward. Christopher has switched over to that Reinhardt. Kid going up high, looking for a potential sniper shot. Will change and go back to the fight.
It was more of a scout there just to see what it is they were coming up against in case they needed to pull back and change over. Most teams do that with Sombra, but on Blizzard World you get that long sight line down the middle. You can generally catch at least 3 of the enemy heroes going on. Switch over to the Zarya. Now we're going for GOATS versus GOATS. The UK still confident they can win this head-to-head.
With that vision they gained from Kib, they're actually able to scout out the best, well, the optimal path to make sure they weren't running straight into a trap from Brigitte, and they got themselves right on the cusp of the point without any conflict so far. It's all about fighting around this corner and who can take the victory first.
Mike missed his stun there on that charge, and they're a crucial cooldown that's now on for them soon. Could have stepped forward and gone for his own, but was down at about half health, so still waiting for those to come off cooldown before they find the go. There's Christopher being stunned up, not dropped quite low enough to get the kill though. He's getting battered around the middle of the team here. Down he goes.
Wins is going to take him out after he's absolutely displaced. It was looking so good for the UK. Kib timing those bubbles perfectly to keep him alive. Unfortunately, if he's being displaced well away from his team, there's not much that can happen in terms of healing.
Yeah, both teams running out with the Zen on side as well. Not only does the Transcendence, although it's not online as often as the Coalescence would be, it still provides a lot of immunity to your team when you get comboed by the enemy GOATs. It also means it's a lot easier to melt down the frontline tanks. You get a Discord Orb onto the enemy Ryan. That's an extra 30% damage headed his way. He will die much quicker than he would without the Zen.
Poco already got that Graviton Surge. He's going to use it early. Fight against the UK. The Transcendence from Boombox to keep him topped up. And he's hiding around the corner, letting them know what's going on, who's going where. Christopher moves back around. Shield going very low. It's stunned up. Oh, it's not going to connect to the protective barrier. Perfect from Mr. Kib to keep him alive as Christopher turns it around with a flame strike onto Soon. Follows up with Ben Best. The UK looking to capitalize greatly on this one. A little bit of a late Transcendence from Unco, and it's not going to be enough to keep Team France alive. This is UK capping point A with 2 minutes on the clock.
Very uncharacteristic miss time all coming out of Unco there. He popped that Transcendence when there were only 2 members left alive. If that had come up even 5 seconds earlier, that would have been the fantastic situation where he keeps 5 of them alive, but wasn't quite to be. and they will sacrifice that first point. Credit to the UK as well there with a great fight being pulled out, catching out a crucial member very early on in Soon. A bit mistimed from France again. This is what comes down to GOATs being so technical, is there was literally a millisecond difference there in the whole team being shattered, or Christopher blocking it, and he managed to block the whole shatter and get his own counter shatter down.
France taking the fight to the UK immediately. Self-destruct sent out, did get caught on the payload. Will clear some space for the UK to move forward. They're sending in one of their own. Christopher isolating from the rest of the team. They're having to use the rain, and they use it so perfectly, but Cruz is still a casualty to Unco, and France are going to push forward and take control of that territory they just lost.
They really wanted to get Christopher there, sorry, for a bit of an extra stagger. Will get him picked out. They'll even find Kib as well, which is just going to offset the UK for even longer whilst they wait to regroup. Ult's currently favouring somewhat towards the UK, although France have got two big ultimates online now in the tag form. You're looking for Unco to get that Transcendence once again, and hopefully this time it's used a bit earlier on.
Grapple surge for a Poco. May want to use it on this corner. Catch the UK off guard as you would expect. Smex is up high. Trying to get in close for the eat, deny that altogether. Christopher off on an angle by himself. A lot of contention happening around this point.
It's all about Poco I'm looking for here. There we go, straight into the corner. Catches a few on the payload itself, but immediately Boombox is in there with the timely Transcendence to make sure they can carry on. Those two ults will just cancel each other out for now, but it does mean there's no big combo available for France. They'll be relying on a Brigitte stun into the Earth Shadow from Ben Best to win this next fight.
Speaking of Earth Shadows, Christopher's got one as well. Mind games, ahoy, he's going to do it, but Chris hasn't got the shield to hold it down. They're going to use the Graviton Surge, early Transcendence coming in. Shatter, blocked out by Christopher, no answer. He wants to use his own, but he's locked up. He's got the sound barrier for it. Finds a huge Shatter onto the back line of France. He's going to go in with the charge and lead UK on the assault, but he's stunned up, locked up, healing's not coming through. The progress is so slow, and here comes the counter-attack from France. Ben Best, you are certainly putting in the work today.
What a better way again to say that you belong amongst these outplayers, standing up against Christopher and frequently beating him. And I was speaking to Immortal from Team Germany earlier on, and he was saying one thing a lot of people don't pay attention to in GOATs is the Brigitte. They are everything. Your tank plays with confidence when he knows he has got a solid Brigitte by his side. And I've got to say at the minute, Soon is definitely making himself more noticed than Mikey A is. You've got to see more combo stuns coming out of the UK side, or they might find themselves halted here at the first point.
Taking out Ben Best is a good way to kick things off. You've already blown your Transcendence to keep everyone alive, and Boombox follows up with a D-Mech and a kill onto Soon. Boombox is going to finish it off again. Poco going to end his reign of terror. There's multiple members of the French roster being turned down. Finally, they're going to be able to break this chokehold that the French have built for themselves, but they can just take out that cheeky little wins up in the rafters.
It's not like the top of this ramp is a super solid defensive angle for the defensive team to take as well because of the spawn distance too. Down here where the payload is heading now tends to be where you see most teams go for a defensive setup. But still, France showing a lot of confidence and domination over this UK roster. They had the positioning, they had all the tools they needed to hold them there for a solid few minutes. That now leaves only 1 minute 20 for the UK to get to this second point.
Kib's hiding, he's got a Graviton Surge. Gonna put it in, it's eaten. Oh, he hasn't used it yet. Oh, it's still gonna get eaten. Caught it a little bit too early. A little bit of a premonition going in. Self-destruct onto the back line. Going to be sent back with an answer of their own. Transcendence, keeping everyone alive on the side of France. Graviton side for Poco. There's no one in position for the eat. Smex is too far away, but they're holding on to it regardless. They know they've got time. It's in their favor. 50 seconds remaining for Team UK to cap this checkpoint. They may have to look at doing this in overtime. They can keep Christopher alive. Protect the barrier, give him the charge away. But Ben Best and Unco catch him on the retreat.
France in full pursuit as well, wanted to make sure the UK are punished on their retreating path. Almost finding Kib, but will just about make it away. All the members are back up. They've only got the 2 support ults of their name. This is going to be a very scrappy fight when you look at Poco, who is so resiliently held onto that Graviton Surge in the last fight. Didn't see the need to use it, had confidence in his team, and now they may well be rewarded with a fantastic hold on Blizzard World.
A lot of potential here if Poco wants to use the ult now. It's eaten up by Smex. That's the window of opportunity the UK needs, but they've got 15 seconds to touch the point. They need to move fast and cut through France. They're not letting them get anywhere. They might have to send one member off. The Graviton Surge, pulling them together. Sound barrier pops the self-destruct.
Cruz is on point.
Hide behind it. Cruz moving the point. Keep him busy. Move the rest of them forward. He's going to have to get out of this with his life, though, because you don't want Cruz to drop on this one. Pushing it forward. Shadow for Christopher. Send it to the back line. Hits multiple members. Mikey A is going to follow up with a kill. Team UK might be able to pull this one off.
They've managed to get themselves a couple of opening kills. They need to break this chokehold coming out of Team France, and they will slaughter their way through this lineup. Poco again with the resilience, holding on to that Graviton Surge. They will have time to come back out and contest this if they move fast, but half their members are still down, Trit.
What a play from Cruz, keeping them alive on the back line, getting out safely as well, buying time for UK to go on. That's the checkpoint. They come back from the brink of overtime. The UK are still on the offense on Blizzard World.
1.5 minutes to get themselves towards the very end of Blizzard World. It's definitely a tall order. Bit of maybe a mistimed ultimate coming out of Smex early on there, but we'll get it back at least. Immediately the counter grab comes out because they know there is no defense matrix.
Poor timing on the charge. Kid was able to stay alive with a protective barrier, and they take out Ben Best. But look at this. France are going to be a huge spawn disadvantage. If UK can just trade kills, they're going to win out this fight naturally and get the payload back in motion. That's a D-Mech coming out. Kid's got it in the Graviton surge, pulls them together. That's a wipe for Team UK as they get the payload moving into this final phase.
Bit of a missed timing there coming out of France. Ben Best going down meant there was no shield to keep the front line protected. And the Diva with Defense Matrix, she can only do so much to keep those supports alive. So another wipe for the UK. The momentum is starting to play in their favor here. You can see in the last 2 or 3 fights, they're building in confidence.
What a shot from Christopher, the absolute mad lad, trying to put the Team UK on his back and press forward. A fantastic shatter should win them this fight.
One of the first 6-man shatters we have seen across the whole weekend. Momentum is such a huge player in these games, and the UK are streaming in towards this 3rd point. France have still got a couple of ultimates to play with, but there's even more on the side of Team UK.
Rally being popped early by Mikey. Kim's about to get the Graviton surge. You've got a self-destruct, and Chris with an ult potentially again. Sound barrier popped early. There comes the grab. It doesn't matter. They can't touch that point. The UK is going to complete Blizzard World.
We saw this earlier on today. Dropping down the Graviton surge at the very end of the map to make sure no one was able to even touch was the crucial news they needed. Great completion coming out of UK. It did not look that way for the good 70% of that map.
Well, that was the trick that Italy used against them on King's Row.
Exactly, and once they got the ball rolling, clearly the UK learning as they go. Once that ball got rolling, though, they managed to find themselves in a good situation where they found their stride. France wavering a little bit, almost a bit unsure, and I said Poco was showing good resilience with his ultimate. He didn't use it until really late on.
Most importantly about that, Des, they didn't do it in overtime. 3.9 seconds remaining. They'll get another attempt, even if France complete it with a minute to spare. Here's some replays. Huge shatter from Christopher. It's beautiful. Wasn't a 6-man, though. Unfortunately, Unco came in with the Transcendence afterwards. Dead. I know, I want it to be a 6-man as well. Trust me, I wanted to see it.
I wanted it to be that way, but to be fair, once again, good play to Unco. Him and Wins over the last few days have been showing that they're able to stay out of these combos, and generally you always say, yeah, well, every support should do that. This is the problem with being a support player. Sometimes, especially as a main support, it can be a very thankless job. The only way people know you're doing well is if you're not dying, and that goes to say an awful lot. But both of them have worked together very well. Again, Wins maybe had his critics coming into this, but he's definitely shown this weekend that he can stack up and play amongst the best. Ben Best in this case.
Yeah. Ben Best has certainly been putting in the work. We've already said that. Well, a few doubts about Ben Best. I mean, there was some opportunities earlier in this group stage where he was messing these ultimates, putting himself in awkward positions, and they kind of doubted it, but so far he's been absolutely fantastic this series, Des. Looking forward to this one. I cannot state the importance of that 3.9 seconds. If France cap with a minute over in their time back, at least they get another attempt. It's not the doom of the 33%.
The biggest question for me is going to be built around this first point. The UK managed to catch it very quickly within a couple of minutes, but then got stalled for a good 2 to 3 minutes just through the archway. Whether or not the UK can do the same, and I said it after the end of the first map, if this second map goes to France's way, and this is a UK map pick, that gives a very worrying sign going into halftime for Team UK, and a very, very proud one going into halftime for Team France and the countless fans here watching them go for the 5-0.
It does not bode well, but even if the UK win, Christopher's prediction is wrong. It's not a 4-0 if they win this now.
It won't be a 4-0 regardless, quite possibly.
Well, France could potentially win this and take the 4-0 still. It's still open, Des. All we know is Christopher is a liar.
It's not a 4-0 Christopher's way, which is what he thought was going to happen.
Yes. Well, it's definitely not been easy for either side so far, and hopefully it maintains that way as France moving on to the point. Want to tippy-tappy, dip their toes in the paddling pool. UK making sure they can't fully dive in soon, going very down low, and he's still going to survive. Getting away, falling back, gives France a reason to pause.
Nico very low here off the side as well. He was in a very strange spot. Ben Best stunned again, trading main tanks.
Main tanks stunned up. Smex has got a D-Mech throwing in the Graviton Surge with no main shield. It's going to cause support ultimates to come out. Sound barrier is the answer for Team UK. Boombox is about to get the Transcendence as well, but France have already used those. They need to retake this point. They're pushing them back, and I think France are in retreat. They didn't get that first tick, and they're having to rotate around the point as the UK are cleaning up the scraps.
You've got to give huge amounts of credit to Poco there. He had his ultimate online within 45 seconds, while Kiv was still sat at 60%. Doing huge work, although the key player in all that was Boombox. He got chased down Thankfully, Ultimate came online just in time, and he managed to save not only himself, but to steam back outside and keep his teammates alive as well. It's a good play from him, and you can already see the chaos that ensues when main tanks go down. When there's no shield left, teams are like, well, how do we stay safe? We run away on our own. Thank God he had a transcend.
Look at that. Look at the set play from the UK. They've got a Graviton Surge, pull it straight in. Multiple members taken out as Christopher swings. The explosion from Smex is good, and they're going to force France back again, burning 2 minutes at the time bank, leaving only half their time for points A.
France will not be too worried about this, though, because they've almost got that historic combo we have seen all weekend of the self-destruct with the Graviton Surge. It's exactly what the UK just unrolled onto them. They could try and make the same thing happen, and just in case they need the added security, they've got every single other ult online, essentially. That's 6 ult critical mass. That's what you build up towards if things are looking a bit shaky. In France, they aren't panicked. They're taking their time to keep that composure and go for it.
UK want to take the fight soon. They got no support ultimates. Boombox is about to get that transcendence. It could be huge. Earthshadow available for Christopher, but Wins has already taken him out, so he's not going to get to use it. Ben Best taking out Kip and Cruz. This is going to be France capturing point A. 1 minute 30 approximately for them to push this through.
Going around the same time as the UK, a little bit slower, I think, actually, but let's not forget the biggest fight and win for France came as they started pushing through the gates. And immediately, France is zooming around the corner, making sure they have got that land.
I don't think they have, because the UK is about to take it back to them. They're going to miss one person. The UK there, they might be fast enough to contest at the choke, and that's surely advantageous for them. Mikey A going to pop that rally, try and give them that extra edge in this fight, because soon doesn't have it available to him. Shatter's going to land. Best finds multiple members, but there's the transcendence from Boombox to keep him alive. Nico still going to find Cruz with that self-destruct. They are one support down. The French train keeps on rolling.
It's like you were saying with Boombox, great predictive on the back of that one. It didn't matter, though. You might have that transcendence out and keep your guys alive, but everyone else is stunned. They cannot stop the French steam train from rolling into the station, and that station is called London. UK get rolled over, and France get this payload moving.
Another fight still to come out of the UK to hold this one away. Few ornaments thrown in by France. They've still got a defensive, and the Graviton Surge are about to have the rally come up for soon as well. Team UK sitting on more. Going to throw that Graviton Surge in from Poco. It's pulling Kib in, so he's going to be taken out. And that's a Graviton Surge missing in this fight. They can't lose any other members, otherwise they will lose this fight, lose the checkpoint, and give a sizable time back over to the French team as they move towards the final phase. But Poco's having none of it. He's taken out Christopher, he's taken out the Squire, and he just needs to move on forward.
This is what we keep on speaking about, synergy and communication between players. This French side then had no doubt in their mind, full conviction. In fact, speaking of conviction, they're carrying on. They're still melting down members. Poco is on an absolute rampage.
You do not get to retreat against the French lineup. They make sure of that, and they get everything they can out of the UK. And look how much progress the payload's been given for free because of this.
And this is the beauty about maximizing return on investment with an ultimate. Poco caught Kib with his Graviton Surge, and to anyone else watching, you probably think, well, he caught one, wasn't really a great grab, but it's what they do after that in that 6 versus 5 situation where you can push forward and punish members.
Graviton Surge, there it is. A full team is available, as well as the Transcendent self-destruct into the back line. Christopher trying to block. Here comes the grab from the UK. Counter it with the self-destruct open. No one's going to die still. But here's a shatter. Ben Best locked up by Christopher. He's going to go down to Nico regardless. And soon about to get the rally himself. No more kills come in. Poco's there with the D-Mech on the Smeck. Ben Best is following up. The French roster is rolling over the UK.
And 3 minutes in the time bank. Well, it'd be a very tall order for the UK to stall out here for the remainder of this time. Cruz has got the sound barrier. They have some tools to make this happen. France currently don't have an ult online, but with how many grabs Poco has had this map, I'd love to see the stat card for that. He might just be able to hold them back.
Christopher gets their sound barrier and pushes them out of the door. He's going down low. Where's the healing coming out to keep him alive? He's going to get knocked out at this rate, but they're not touching the point. Kib has to move forward. Nico's taken out Christopher. Self-destruct. Not being used yet. Transcendence on the point. They're trying to clear them out. Graviton pulls them together. Kib's going to go down, and the rest of the UK are locked up for the French roster to take him out. France. Sizable time difference moving into the second attempt.
They finished with 2 minutes 35 in the time bank. They'll get about an extra 56 seconds off the back of that one because the UK will get topped up from 3.9 up to 1 minute, up to 3 minutes 20 for the French side. Now let's not forget, both teams took about 2.5, 3 minutes to capture that first point. This could be a very close affair. The UK going to be on attack first. They have to get it right first time or they are in for a world of hurt.
Seeing what a team like Germany can do against the French with an overtime situation. Yes, it was on an escort map on Route 66. You don't have that initial capture. you're still seeing what can happen when overtime comes down to the wire. Team UK said they've got to do it once, do it clean, get that payload in motion, and hope that their defense is stronger when they can put out on their offense.
I'll be riding out for it for sure, and I gotta say, last round, I pinned pretty much all of that down to the Zenyatas, I think, on both sides. Both of them getting there. Trans is relatively timely. Unco with one that was a little bit whiffed, a bit too late to keep his team alive. Outside of that, their charge rate has been absolutely phenomenal, playing a huge part in making sure that the frontline tanks were consistently going down in these big trades, and the Transcendences were always there when needed. Poco, I've got to say, far outclassed Kib as well. Kib being one of those big flexible DPS players that we've said has had a fantastic World Cup group stage. Lots of people need to be keeping an eye on him, but Poco's showing why Overwatch League is just a class above as well. The charge rate on those ultimates, it's been insane.
I'd real, he's playing a hero he's not used to playing. Nico going on that Diva. Instead of what Poco is expecting, but UK taking a similar route as they did last time. They kind of expect the forward hold from France. Still taking it quite slow. Unfortunately, they don't have the luxury of time.
They do not. Need to move relatively quick. 35 seconds left means that this engagement is going to start sooner rather than later. Pushing on the left side, which is where they found success on their attack last time round. This time, though, they have no ultimates to play with, which is what they need to be wary of. But keep an eye on the ultimate bars on both sides. Poco already at 50%.
A 20% advantage over Kib off the bat. Extremely difficult. Look at that, an isolated Nico. He's been D-Mech. That might be a big moment for the UK. They can just find more. They need to open up the floodgates and let the water flow through. With no defense matrix, they're going to take a beating. As Christopher throws the flame strike through to kill Ben Best, and Mikey A's going to follow up. They're going to get the cap, and now it's all about how far they can push it to the limit.
Let's see if the French can hold them once again, just on the other side of this archway. They had a good 2-minute stall there last time. They may feel a bit hard done by that they only had 1 minute in their time bank and already they've lost out to the UK. The thing is, the French here, and we spoke to a lot of players about this yesterday, don't panic in this situation. Think we've got to get them off the point now. You build for the critical mass, and Jake will echo exactly the same thoughts. Get the critical mass, wipe the team out, and end it there.
They're looking to wipe them now with that Graviton Surge. Keep going down low. Ben Best is the one to get the kill. Defensive ultimate available. It's the sound barrier to keep the UK alive. They're dropping a self-destruct right in front. Ben Best throws the Shadow, not going to be found soon. Isolated, but they can't kill him. Shadow from Christopher finds multiple members, but there's a self-destruct on the payload that needs to be dealt with. Smeks going to take out Win. Ben Best going on to Cruise. They might be able to end the UK here. Overtime ticks down. That is not very far to push.
A big risk going for a play like that from the French side. As we said, teams have thrown away ultimates for no reason in the past, and they lost a couple of members in that trade. That could have very easily gone the UK's way, but the French make it work, and ultimately the result is there they wanted. They halt the UK just outside the capture zone. It's now on the UK to hold for a solid 3 minutes, 20 seconds. The payload, it's only got a few meters to go. It hasn't even got to go through the archway for the French to take this second map and go into the half 2-0 up.
That arch play was only allowed, and I don't think you spotted it because you're focusing on your analysis. Always good as usual, Des. But Unco didn't get the staggered spawn. It was so close for him being sent back to the second spawn point. He was still on the point A defense spawn, meaning that he could regroup with his team and get there in time to contest at the choke. An extra second quicker from the UK maybe would have staggered them and enabled them to get a little bit further.
It's a game of small margins at the best of times, Overwatch. Everyone does the same thing. All Reinhardts hold their shields up, they throw fire strikes out, they swing the hammer, hope people go down, healers heal their frontline tanks. It's the small things you have to watch out for, those crucial stunts from Brigittes, the timing of ultimates coming out of your off-tank and your supports. All those things come together to form the perfect storm for a team victory at one time or another. The 3 minutes 20. This is almost basically a full map reset for France, bar that extra 40 seconds which have been shaved off.
Look what the UK's running though. They've started to identify this tank matchup isn't working for them. Let's mix it up. Let's get Kib on his Genji. Let's get Mikey A on the Sombra and let these tanks dive onto the back line of France, see if we can pull them apart.
They fully expect France to come out with the 3-3 and they would be correct. It's all they've seen so far. To assume otherwise would be potentially a bit dangerous. The thing is here is that you're going to struggle to hold against this front line, and the fact actually France have recognized, said, you know what, you guys are playing dive. We know that you can't change from this composition. We're going to go back and change things up if we need to.
See what they make of the adaptations, see what the optimal composition is for the French. Sending Poco back, he's going to the Roadhog, wants to shut down any backline dives. That's the only change they're making. They're running 3-3, but they're keeping Poco.
Moira, you take it here because you basically have a 6-0 dive. You all go in together. Poco on the Roadhog means they can yank members off the high ground or are playing in relative safety and catch them out. That's all they want, but the hat goes on Poco. There's no hook.
Still
Not that it matters.
Doesn't matter because Ben Best will get the kill. Now they move forward. Christopher caught out of position. They've got themselves no shield. This could be lethal soon. Taking out Cruz. Smek's going down low. Going to get a D-Mac. There's no one from the UK in a position to contest as they're falling by the wayside. Kim, dash out of there, my friend. You're not going to be able to hold the point. You can only hope to hold their progress.
That's all they can hope for here. This animation of the payload coming out of the gates may work into their favor, but the French, they're going to probably move forward here, take a bit of an aggressive front line, just so they have a pretty much free push in towards this zone here. Ben Best holding the archway, making sure they know what's coming at them. UK haven't changed away from what they had before, though.
Su's been hacked, and he's going to be taken out, so they have that man advantage for the next fight. Poco's taking a nap. Someone needs to touch. Smex flies through the back. There's a pass-through, allows the rest of his team to get there. So they've set up that first defense. It's all about how long they can hold it.
They've got a chain now for a solid 1 minute and 30 seconds, and the French have got their own ultimates coming online. Looking at Kip here, known for his Genji play. This is the time to show us what you're made of. Boombox is about to get that nano boost as well.
Self-destruct on the point, Coalescence being used. They have to take cover. Self-destruct coming in from Spec. EMP, Dragon Blade, Kip finds wind. Spec's going to blow up Ben Best. Wants to get Unco, takes the slash. Will find that second kill. The UK are still in this. They've got more, another 1 minute, 15 seconds to kill. But guess what? They've taken out Boombox. He's having a long walk back from the spawn room. Man advantage should be in favor of France.
All the ults are on their side as well. Chris with them hands going to show it to the French crowd, try and keep them away from the payload trids.
Throwing those hands around, trying to buy more time. Poco misses the hook, but he has the whole hog. He can clear the space. He can clear it all out. They're putting the shield down. Nico gets a D-Mac and a kill. Soup finds another one onto Smeks. They're throwing everything they can at this French lineup, but they can't keep it in place. France go into the halftime, 2-0.
You just got to appreciate that crowd. I can hear it through the floorboards above me. Stylosa, he's there with a smile on his face. You can't help but smile at this crowd and kind of what just happened? We came into this expected for the UK to be one of the stronger contesting teams, and yes, they are fighting against France, but France, you can see why they've been penned by many as the hosting country, not just the hosting country, but the #1 seed to make it out of this group stage. What a fantastic first half performance from them.
Well, guess what? If the UK wants to win this, they don't have to win 2 maps, Des. They need to win 3. They're only going to do this in a tiebreaker. They've got map advantage. They will be choosing the 3rd map after we have a short halftime break, of course. This was also their map. And yes, they made great progress. They were able to stall out enough time, but it was just too much in the time bank.
If they can stick to tradition here and go for their swap at halftime, bring KSP in place of Mikey 8, does mean they open up possibility for things like double sniper. As we saw early on Junkertown, they can play it very well. My biggest concern there is what Widowmaker are they coming up against from the Overwatch League?
Soon.
You'll hear that word an awful lot as we go into the second half, no doubt. And we've already seen what Soon can do against teams with less experienced Widowmakers. That's my worry is KSP takes time to warm up. If they go away for that 3rd map, this series is done. They've got to get it right in the 1st map.
Final thought, though, for KSP especially. What if you out-duel Soon? How big is that for your career? We're going to find out if that's possible after we go to a quick break. Do not go anywhere.